Hello and welcome to Sunflower State of Mind, or the show formerly known as Sunflower State of Mind. Oh my gosh. Again, if you've joined us before, thank you for your time and feedback. And welcome. If you're new here, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, share, and let us know what your thoughts are as we carry on. Please comment. Please let us know that you're here. It helps us carry on the conversation better. And if you do comment and if you do react, we're going to show up higher in your feed. So if you want to see more of us, make sure you're commenting, interacting, sharing, liking, all those good things. We love you so much. Even if you disagree with us, we want to hear from you too. We want to hear all sorts.
And showing up more in your feed is part of the reason why we decided to rebrand things. We've been growing. Yeah. We've added Whitney to the show. We added Caitlin when it was the Kent and Zach show, and so then it became the CKZ show. And we decided we can't just keep adding initials. We're going to continue.
Eventually,
to grow.
we'll evolve
to
a symbol.
Add more people, which means that eventually we won't be just on Wednesdays. There'll be other shows that go on, different hosts, different rotations, different topics, and all of it is the idea of putting forgotten voices out there. I strongly believe in Southwest Kansas and Western Kansas in general, we get forgotten because of how much we don't get to be a part of the discussion. We are 5 hours away from the discussion, and our representation doesn't always represent us. They represent themselves, as they have repeatedly said. I wish I had a clip ready for it of the multiple politicians I've asked the question to of whether they're going to represent us, and that is not always the answer.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Soapbox down.
Oh yeah, this show's been it's been a rapid thing its entire existence. You know, Zach and I one day were like, we need to get on and talk about vote no. All we're hearing are things that are wrong about what value them both is, you know, and so we wanted to talk to people about that, and so the show started there, and then we decided that we definitely needed a woman to share her side and opinion when it came to value them both and women's health care. So in came Caitlin. I think it was our second episode even on it, and yeah, like Zach said, we're just growing. You know, if you have a mind for it and want to be on a live stream podcast that's politically driven, that's around the community, doesn't even have to be Garden City, it could be Dodge, Liberal, Scott, Colby,
basically
Goodland,
all of Southwest Kansas.
Southwest, Northwest Kansas. You know,
we're all one giant community, and we're all
Yeah.
as close as we're gonna get to similar
a real and journalism news,
issues. There we go.
journalism,
Similar issues. Yeah.
We quickly realized that with we have a power here. We have an ability to reach an audience, and we have a responsibility to be as accurate and mindful of that audience as possible.
And before we move on, I thought it was funny. Both my wife and Zach's wife were like, "You guys have got to quit rebranding. People aren't going to know who you are." We're like, "We're done. This is it. That's the Sunflower State of Mind forever and ever."
Until we evolve to the symbol.
Yeah. Well, we're already the formerly as. Thank you for. Thank you so much for being here again. Caitlin has a night off. She sends her well wishes. We've got a guest in the background. Which one is this, Whitney?
Which one? Where?
Yeah, is this yours or is this? It can't be one.
That was not a ween.
One of Zach's. That was not a ween.
Oh,
yeah.
the barking.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to figure out. I think that was Oscar telling the puppies that he wanted that bowl of food.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we have a new
Old man
sponsor this
Oscar.
week. Pretty excited about. Dude, smell this. From Hayesville, Kansas, 902 East Grand Street. You can get a hold of them at 316-351-4620. Check them out on dudesmellthis.llc.com for all your CBD needs. Aches, pains, stress, sleep, all sorts of different attributes to CBD. We don't have one in Garden City anymore, so pretty awesome that Dude Smell This, a Kansas company, reach out to us and wanted to advertise here on the show. So hit them up, let them know that Sunflower State of Mind, CKZ, Kent, Zach, Whitney, Caitlin, whatever, sent you. Let them know that you saw them here.
So,
And,
someday we're gonna have to have him on and to explain exactly what his shop is and why it's not illegal and how it's still beneficial and
There's vape pen. They
I would
have
have
vapes,
questions.
You know, all sorts of gummy. The edibles, vapes, oils, creams, lotions, all sorts of different products that you can use.
You see a lot of that in Eastern Kansas, and it's one of the things that goes back to Western Kansas is forgotten about. The Eastern Kansas gets a lot of things like that and has the ability to do that, and we don't. And I would like to be a part of that discussion.
They fight for a lot of legalization too. In the state of Kansas. So we are going to have Kansas NORML on at some point, which that organization lobbies for legalization of medical and recreational cannabis, and so it'll be nice to have both, the activist side and a business owner side of it on the show later on in the coming weeks. But yep, they are bringing Dude Smell This, Hayesville, Kansas. Check them out again, dudesmellthis.llc.com. 920 East Grand in Hayesville, Kansas, which is just right outside of Wichita. They are bringing us the events this week. Whitney, you want to start us off? What's going on?
Sure. Let's see. The next event is the 48th annual Better Home and Living Show. That's this Saturday and Sunday. It says Saturday 6 p.m., but that's pretty much going all day. I think that's going until the 6 p.m. and 5 p.m. those days. And you can go there. There's chances for cash prizes and jackpots and things, and lots of giveaways to enter in. And you get to meet a lot of different things in the community. Actually, I'll be there for an hour with KCSL with their
cool.
booth even. But yeah, it's going to have stuff for your home, stuff that organizations in the community that are just in general helpful.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Gonna
Also
be a lot of
beginning this
booths there.
Friday, there are going to be tons of vendors, and I think that said there's still some space available, so you may want to contact them if you're interested in getting your business out at a place where there's surely going to be quite a few people this weekend at the Finney County Fairgrounds. Beginning this Friday, Food Truck Friday's back, guys. Goes from March 17th to October 27th every Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Stevens Park in downtown Garden City. Food Truck Friday. Again, head out to Stevens Park for the fine cuisine from several vendors in and around Garden City. I don't know how many food trucks there are in town anymore. There's quite a few, and every single one of them are fantastic. And the idea that they all come to one place to congregate, and you can go down and eat and hang with friends or a business meeting, whatever, it's just awesome. It's fantastic. I love it. So again, this Friday, March 17th, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
This Sunday, March 19th, from 1 to 4, Lee Richardson Zoo presents Beginner's Photography. Now, when I heard about this one, I was like, oh, I totally got to sign up. And then I read like 2 more lines, and I was like, oh, I'm old. Beginners are only allowed to be 12 through 17. Phone, DSLR, and point and shoot cameras are all welcomed. Bring your own memory cards. Snacks will be provided. Fee is $40 per individual and $30 for friends of the Lee Richardson Zoo members.
They totally need to do an adults class.
I mean, I have a camera that's fancy. I don't know what I'm doing with it.
I have a fancy camera. It is auto.
I'd like to have a little more than 2 YouTubes.
What's going on over in Dodge?
All right. At Dodge, they're doing the United Wireless Arena. There is One Night of Queen with Gary Mullen and the Works. You can they will be playing all your favorite Queen songs. Tickets are on sale with the Big Ultra Monopoly, aka Ticketmaster. Go to Ticketmaster.com and you can get the tickets to the United Wireless Arena for the One Night of Queen. Or today's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, 7:30. Just go to Ticketmaster.com.
Pretty cool. Queen.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Can't go wrong with Queen. I'm just saying.
No.
Oh, what's everybody's favorite Queen song? Anybody?
I mean,
Mine-
Bohemian Rhapsody.
It's in my head.
It's got to be.
Rhapsody. Mine is.
I'm going with Somebody to Love. I'm the the heart guy with them, I guess.
Okay.
Such a deep ballad.
Yeah. I'm Princess of the Universe.
That's a
Fantastic
good one.
guitar solo.
Yeah.
Also, major fan of the movie that they did a soundtrack for that, because they did every soundtrack in the 80s, I swear to God.
For me, though, I mean, Queen, what brought me in was We Will Rock You, obviously, with sports and things, I
with
think
the Mighty Ducks.
And Another One Bites the Dust as well for stadiums and things like that, but yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody and Wayne's World.
Yeah, and we got more music coming as well.
We do have more music coming here in Garden City, Kansas. Not this Friday, but March 31st, Friday, March 31st. Join the Tumbleweed Festival for another Tumbleweed Festival fundraiser. Again, Friday, March 31st at 7 p.m. They've gathered a night of hot pickin' entertainment featuring the Haymakers and Weston Wilkerson. The concert location's at Moonlight Harvest. Wristbands are available for $50 each or $80 for 2. Complimentary drinks and food. Doors open at 6 and the show is at 7. This is Friday, March 31st. Now, where is the Moonlight Harvest? I think is what most people have heard.
I believe it's
a new
just
venue.
north of town. I haven't been there. The rest of the board went that way. Moonlight
Is that where
Harvest.
Donnie had his wedding?
Yeah, I think it was.
It might be. It's like on Chomelka, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 4770 North Chamelka. So it's it's like
So you
just
take
outside of town and
Chamelka
north.
until you see some what looks like grain storage bins.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you'll see a parking lot. You can't miss it. It'll be on the east side of the road.
And this is like a big, beautiful barn. If I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
mistaken.
Yeah. No, you walk in and you're like, okay. I see. Yeah, it's very deceiving on the
it's
outside.
fancy. It's fancy.
It's fancy. Cool. Yeah. The Tumbleweed Festival kicking things off this year with the fundraiser. It's $50 each.
Yep, and all that
ticket, or
and
80
all
for
that
two,
money
so-
basically goes to the talent because it's hard to it's expensive. So you need that startup capital to bring the entertainment out this way. And
Yeah. And it's cool.
Ken,
You know, it's been
And
a
it adds
variety
more.
of music over the last couple of years. You know, there've been some rock bands, there's been folk, country, reggae. You know, there's been some really cool stuff. It's kind of evolved over the last few years. So if you haven't checked out the Tumbleweed in a while, go see it. Go hang out, meet some new people, like-minded people, vendors, food trucks. There's so many things that go on. Zach, you were saying something?
Kent, tell me about this dude. Smell my run. What is it? Smell
Dude,
this.
smell this. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, guys, weekly
so-
events are we're gonna get used
They're
to having
our first sponsor of this, though, right?
Yeah. They are. Well,
So
I mean,
we're
we've
doing
had two
sponsors
other-
of events now.
Yeah, well, you can sponsor a segment.
Okay.
Dude Smell This has sponsored our weekly events. So we offer different segments throughout our show. We have our main segment, you know, the intro. You can be the sponsor of the show. You can buy our banner space. We can create ads for you, flyers, video ads. We can help with website. We can help with all sorts of different things. All of us have different areas of expertise and are willing to help you expand on social media, whatever you need to help promote and advertise your business event, social media gathering, whatever you need. You know, we can help you do that with audio and video and graphic design, whatever.
It's a unique
just
way
let-
to reach a different audience, and,
Yeah.
and it's something that we can customize to you, and that's not something you get with just a normal Facebook boosted post or something like that.
No, and you know, we like I said, we can come out and we can create a video for you and
Some drone footage,
Drone
some video
footage.
editing.
Ooh, yeah.
yeah,
You want
whatever
an
you need.
explosion? We'll give you an explosion. Please,
And-
somebody give me an excuse to go blow something up.
And with that, we'd like to give a shout out to this week's show's sponsor, Smith Auto and Truck Parts, Garden City, Kansas. You can find them online at smithautoandtruckparts.com. Smith Auto and Truck Parts, Team PRP, Garden City, Kansas, 402 East Burnside. Zach, what is PRP?
Premium recycled parts. It's a unique group.
Recycled.
Yeah, it's a gathering of so there's like
Reduce,
5,000
reuse.
salvage yards all across the country, and so this is like the top 300. They got together, created their own network where they can ship parts amongst each other. So it's a great way to get quality used parts and be able to find hard to get things from anywhere across the nation.
And at a local price, because
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
they're able to move things cheaply between each other. So that's pretty cool. Check them out. 402 East Burnside, Garden City, for all your vehicle or pickup truck needs. So, moving on
Ah,
this week, we have kind
It was a
of.
busy week.
yeah,
It was a busy week.
some of this is spillover from last week,
Wait,
but
Chuck's
we had
watched. It's only Wednesday, guys.
yeah. It's Wednesday, my dude.
It feels like a whole year, at State House anyway.
Well-
and we've neglected things because there's so many things going on and to talk about. So, we're backtracking a little bit. We've touched on some of these things. We
And-
only get an hour.
Yeah.
So,
And right now, we're going to focus more on education today on this
Yes.
episode because we're going to talk about what's going on with the state level with education because we have bad news, and then okay news that happened real fast because they are pushing bills down so quickly right now. Across the nation, there's so many bills that are being pushed. They're not even editing them, and they're not even like appropriately done. There's lines missing, stuff like that, because they're just trying to move things fast. And this is one. It's the school voucher bill, which let's see, it went through it passed the House 64 to 61, and I believe there was another update. It did go through the Senate, or it has been passed through both now, or the
It's
revisions have been
expected to, I
accepted.
believe.
Is that where we're at right now? They're-
with SB 83.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So what they've done is it passed the Senate already. I think it was
Right.
like 21 to 14, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe even more. It was a blowout, and then it moved to the Senate. It did pass there, but they made some amendments, some changes to the bill, and
now it
so it
goes
does have to
back.
go back to the Senate for an up and down vote.
Yep.
Basically, on it, it's going to pass there with ease, and then hit the governor's desk.
But
So-
the only
Where it's
glimmer of
expected to
light
be
right now
vetoed.
is that
Exactly.
and the reason there's so many problems. Like I got one of the testimonies from somebody who, this guy is Joshua Cohen. He's a PhD professor in education policy from Michigan State University, and that's important because a lot of this really got pushed by DeVos in Michigan a long time ago. So he's got lots of experience with it.
Oh,
And
the
there's a-
ghost of Christmas past comes back to haunt us
Bro.
again.
Yeah, exactly. So basically we have like 20 years of data according to him, according to his studies and his other number, and he has a list of other experts that basically agreed with him on this take. But basically, they have 20 years of independent research and evaluation, especially from the last decade. So I'm quoting him now. Show devastating academic harm to children in voucher programs that have been scaled up to statewide and universal status. So there's some okayness with very small voucher programs, but usually those voucher programs are like for kids in need that need some extra funding or something. They found those types of voucher programs are okay, but these across the board voucher programs, basically all they do is drain the education funds of the community, give it to people who already can afford to go to private school. So most of the people that are getting these vouchers can't actually go someplace else. Some other things that he mentioned was let's see. This was an interesting point. The data also indicates that kids using vouchers have a very high turnover rates. Something like 20% of the kids that use these programs every year tend to do. They use these programs every year. Tend to do better once or 20% leave the program every year. Sorry, that's what it is. High turnover rate. So 20% of the kids leave the programs, and then they do better once they go back to public schools. Like they're failing in this other environment. Part of the problem is that when vouchers are created, and especially when they expand beyond the initial plan, a new group of private schools pops up to receive those taxpayer funds. So basically, capitalism cash grab, because everyone just sees free money, so they pop them up. So then basically he compared it to subprime mortgage lending. But really, and the other problem is all these schools have lack of oversight. And I actually kind of want to play a little TikTok from one of our local teachers, because this really hits me, because when I moved to this community, I was oh shoot, now I forgot the term. basically I was an educator, but I was not the typical educator like a teacher. I was a informal, that's the term, informal educator. So I'd come into the classroom, teach my things with the zoo, and then leave. But I didn't have to have structured curriculum that lasted the whole thing, obviously, like teachers do. But because of that gig, I met a ton of teachers in the community, and I remember going to one party at one point in time, and it was a teacher's birthday, and I'm walking in and meeting everybody, and everybody is showing me their hand, asking where I'm from, because that is a thing Michiganders do. People from Michigan. Every teacher at that party was from Michigan because we have such an influx, because the program that they're trying to push here failed so miserably that they literally have an entire generation of teachers that just scattered across the nation to find work. But yeah, they'd all point like, I'm on here on the map, their map hand. But and this teacher's is not an exception to that rule. So let's see, where is it? Okay, let me find her little thing. So this is Katie with.
Hey Kansans, great job voting no in August. Way to save those reproductive rights, even if they're still trying to take them away from us. But we got more rights on the line. This time, it's a right to education for everybody, and we've got this voucher bill on that you can't vote no on, but you can tell your representatives to vote no. And before you come at me for a parent's right to choose where their child goes to school and how this voucher bill supports that, let me tell you, I was a child of school choice. I was homeschooled until high school. I greatly enjoyed being homeschooled, but I understand that it's not for everybody. Not everybody can economically do it. Not everybody wants to do it. I attended a private Christian high school, but you know what? That school wasn't for everybody. You had to be interviewed in order to go there, and they didn't accept everybody. I had personal friends who were turned down to go to that school. As an adult, my first teaching job was at a charter school. I left due to their appalling treatment of teachers, their horrendous pay, and the way that they treated students. They marketed themselves as an alternative for kids who were struggling in traditional public schools, but they had so few special ed resources that they would take those students, take the funding, and then as soon as they had the funding from the government, they would send those kids back to the public schools. Now I teach at a Title I school in rural Kansas. The only alternative here is, I guess, our kids could go to private Catholic schools. Do we have to convert to Catholicism in order to educate our kids? How about like my Muslim immigrant students? Do we really need to take away funds from schools that will educate everybody for these ones that can turn anybody down based on religion, based on beliefs, based on ability? Vouchers are not giving anybody more choice. For some people, they're taking away the only choice. Like and share and call your reps.
Yeah. Yeah, she hit basically every point there. And
Very
her
well said.
yeah, I couldn't
Very
say it
well
better.
informed.
I know for a fact.
Real quick, before we
go
get
ahead.
going, I really want to throw a shout out to our representatives in our area. Senator John Dole, Representative Dr. Bill Clifford for voting no on this bill.
Props.
And
Props to them on that. Absolutely.
being
Yes.
in tune with rural Kansas and what's out here, and knowing that there's more than there's so many things that go into this and that would have negatively impacted our area, especially the tax-paying dollars that come out of this area. We just don't have it. We don't have private schools.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, we're already struggling out here because we all know there's way more funds on Eastern Kansas. Rural areas tend to get, left. Oh yeah, we forgot about you guys. Oh, I guess we should fund you too.
Here's
But
something for the arts.
yeah, and all these voucher programs are going to do is just pull from that fund, which is already we already had issues. How many years ago was it that the amount of money they were just giving to education was already so low they considered it unconstitutional by the Kansas Constitution?
And I mean that's what we're flirting with.
Exactly.
In this bill as well. It's unconstitutional for the government to put give one religion an advantage over others, and this does benefit your Catholic schools more so. And it funds the purchase of Bibles and religious study things too. which I think should be held, at the church level, not in schools.
Yep.
Because there you start to cross the line if it's going to be accredited. An accredited
yes.
school, because
The
you
people
can't
who
blur
are
that
pushing
line
for
either.
the religion to be in schools need to
Yep.
ask themselves what is the worst religion they could imagine being in the school, because they have the same right to be there
Yep.
as they do. So if they don't want their nonsense there, then they shouldn't be bringing it to the school.
Yeah.
There's an inversion of the First Amendment.
Well, kind of
with this
what
bill.
Cohen actually talked about this to the I believe it was the Senate or he talked to today, and he pointed out, like you just said, the problem is you're taking it. The public schools actually have oversight. People have to look and make sure that the curriculum is being done correctly. Everyone's not being biased towards anybody. But once you take it to these private schools, there's no oversight anymore.
And here I'm
okay,
throwing
yeah.
up why we're thanking Dr. Clifford and Senator
Yes.
John Dole. Bob Lewis, who's going to be a guest on our show 419, did vote no. Yep. And he put out his reasoning. I emailed him. I don't know if you guys did, but I did email him to both his personal and his government account. I'm blocked on his Facebook, I just found out, which is kind of weird. He's going to be on my show, but I'm blocked. Do Kansans deserve the option of school choice? He calls it school choice. And again, what Katie said, whose choice is it? Is it the schools or is it mine to send my kid to your school? Today the Kansas House of Representatives passed the Sunflower Education Equity Act, which seeks to improve achievement of all students and give parents more control and involvement in their child's education, which I find weird. He voted in favor of this bill. He says a compromise bill. I'm assuming a compromise bill included three primary components. It increased funding for special education by $72 million. I think the governor's been talking about fully funding special ed. This legislation. I think there's other things that are
those private schools know they won't accept those kids.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
That's one of the big problems. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I know of some from the local private schools here. As soon as those kids, to make their numbers look good, they just kick the kids out. That's it.
It increases the average pay $2,200, which I think is probably low. I like Bernie's new bill that he's got out there for $60K a year minimum for teachers. I think that's
this third point is very problematic in my mind.
Yeah, and this is what's the biggest thing. It provided an ESA is what they call it, Education Savings Account, in the amount of about $5,000 for low-income students and students with low achievement levels to pursue educational opportunities outside of the public schools. Because we know that these private schools are going to be going after kids that need more intrusive learning.
But the thing is, here's the thing that's real funny about that. They're like, here's $5,000 for you low-income person. You just have to cover the other $32,000. Yeah. I'm like, $5,000 is a drop in the bucket, and the family that is struggling to pay everything, these vouchers aren't for them. All they do is save rich people money. People who are already well enough off that can afford those private schools, they're the ones getting the benefit.
I was curious, I was like, golly, I wonder how much St. Dominic's is here in Garden City.
Did you take a look?
Enrollment's only $100.
$100?
Enrollment's only $100. Yeah, I'm sure some uniforms and things, but who gets the funding? Do the parents get the funding, or does the school get the funding?
The school gets the funding.
So if it's $100 and they're getting an extra $4,900 out of this for this, what they would normally charge a student, for enrollment, it makes no sense to me.
Yeah, exactly. And also, as the other point in that Cohen's put out today, if they do that, then those schools can deny. You're draining all those funds for the other things, but they can deny you based on your religion, like she said. They can deny you because you're LGBTQ.
Or even worse, they can accept you until they get the paycheck and then cut you.
Which is exactly what Katie ran into at the school in Michigan. This is just a very common situation. I do know of multiple parents that had to struggle because they were going to private school, and then their kids showed up with a learning disability, and instead of helping the child, they literally just got kicked out and they were given no recourse.
And
there's no
what happens in
most of the times
what happens in other countries where education is public and there is no private schools, what ends up happening is the people who are well off want to make sure that their kids get a good education. So what do? Invest in the public schools so everybody benefits from it. And I swear the Republicans are so scared of an educated populace, but every dollar you put into education, you get 15 back.
Well, this is a big religious bill too.
Yeah, it's basically what it is.
Yeah. Which is kind of, we're really blurring the line between the separation of church and state more than anything anymore. I think, we need to pull it back a little bit, pull the curtains back. I have nothing against religion, your religion, anybody's religion. Right. There's, 5,000 known religions on this planet, 3,000 known gods, maybe vice versa.
Yeah.
I think that number is, but there's a lot there. So respect everybody.
And I've run into an issue like this with other programs where like you don't think of it as discrimination initially, but it's the subtle discrimination. Like
it is.
For example, like it's been almost 10 years, but Mary and I actually tried to adopt. But because they blurred the line and they allowed the adoption agencies to put a religious context in Kansas, so they can take state funds and then put a religious exemption, we were told no, we can't. Like we'd had to hire a private lawyer out of Wichita with our own money rather than using the state funded program because it's all Catholic based here. And if you're not Christian, you're automatically denied. But same thing will happen with the school system. You're
just to be a little bit of devil's advocate.
Auto excluding.
The alternative option was to not have any adoption option out here because the Catholic organizations were the only ones willing to bear that. Now, I'm not saying that one went into.
Is that how it was, or was it?
That's what they were giving as the excuse.
That was what they were giving as the excuse, or that money could have gone to the state program, and then they could have created more branches out here.
Yeah. Right.
That's. I mean, all they're doing.
I'm not saying I support that. I'm just playing.
Yeah, I'm just saying
of what they were. Arguing.
What this is just basically they're just trying to split the pot into multiple levels, and what that does is these social programs need the bigger pot so that they can actually evenly and appropriately distribute. But when everyone starts nickel and diming it, it turns into nothing.
What gets me riled up about it really is Kansas kids don't get adopted because of this.
Yep. Oh, that's
folks like you and Mary go to Oklahoma or more often than not Colorado. It's a lot easier to adopt.
Right. And I only wanted to bring that story because it was a similar situation of a social program. Once you're allowing these sideways in for religion to come in, then automatically you're getting a big, huge discrimination.
Yeah.
So, which will happen with these private schools.
Yeah.
Big
exactly.
Time.
So what's been going on
now locally?
USD
457. I can't keep up. Can you guys keep up? Because I can't keep up with everything.
No.
So they've been going through a lot of policies, and that's normal. That's standard. It has to happen every while. A lot of them are due, and by a lot of Kansas and federal standards, they have to at least look at them and say whether or not they need to up them or not, or alter them in any way. But the thing that's happening now, I mean, we lost a huge individual in our community. Glenda LaBarbera.
Large chunk of cash with her.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, what are we up to now? 400,000 in settlements or 500,000? I can't remember. 230,000 went to her.
I know it was close to, it was almost a quarter
233. Yeah. 233 was the number and some change. But it's just more, it's more than the lost teachers. I mean, the
we're
money
losing.
Decision-wise, we spent a ton of money on a new website. We spent a ton that we didn't need, and an early termination there. And there's been other programs that we've done it with. So we're well over $500,000, and our administration is completely changing.
Yes.
And we're not gaining anything from
this.
We haven't.
We're not gaining anything. So, there was a large settlement. Do we know what exactly happened? No, but we do know. let's see here. Let's bring this up. Add this to the stream. We do know that there was a settlement agreement, but we're probably not going to find out a lot of information because there's a big NDA right at the bottom of this. Where is it? Yeah. So nobody's allowed to talk about it, but she got, where is it? 230,000.
Which Biden had the chance to make those illegal.
Actually, I think that got paid yesterday, didn't it? Payment.
They
there
had
it is.
till today.
March
till
today.
I believe.
It had to be paid
Yeah.
$233,863.33. They paid her out because something somebody didn't cross their eyes.
Somebody
dot their
did
T's, and
something real bad, and she was gonna win a big lawsuit if they didn't.
Yeah. So
Yeah, this isn't. This wasn't anything to do with her contract, her salary.
Nope.
She gets insurance on top of this
it was
for
hush
a year for her and her family, and then another year for. She can't work until 2024, June 2024. I mean, this is a really weird settlement agreement. And there is something big going on. And I know, there was another position. I think it was clerical up there, the same type of thing. She left after knowing some things and turning some things in, and they didn't do anything about it. This is where we're ending up. Is we're losing. There's something going on, and we're losing. Big time administrators because our Board of Education isn't tackling
what it comes down
the
to is
issue,
something real bad
the main
happened,
issue.
And our board decided it was more important to make sure nobody knew what happened than it was to make sure whatever happened never happens again.
Yeah. I don't know what happened with. There's obviously something with a conference report, but yes, that had to be rescinded from their record. She has to promise to not sue.
So they must have been trying to attack her. I mean, it's you can carry the story 100 ways to one.
Right, and I'm going to bring up a thing because there was a moment in the during the meetings that I remember, and somebody mentioned a couple others, but I've been trying to follow the meetings, and I pulled a few things that I thought were really weird. There was, you guys talked about this before with the John Weiss basically asking her to commit fraud in the middle of a meeting.
In order to have ESSERs, yes. So
can we have both? We have a COVID policy that we operate on the school, and then we have the questions answered for the funding. And it doesn't have to be the same.
No, I think
I think you have to align it somewhere.
Yeah, we have to have them. We can have something just like we have a one page here. But if you tell me no masks at all, or for whatever reason, then I'm going to answer it that way. I would rather be honest and say, oh, the board says no masks. So, or if there's something else that you feel that strongly about, I'd rather be honest in this and just say, no, we're not doing it.
And to put that into context for people, what was going on there was the federal government requires a COVID policy to be sent to them. If you don't send this
funding.
For funding, you'll lose funding. Exactly. You'll lose funding. You'll lose a whole bunch of a bunch of funding, a bunch of other things.
Millions of dollars in this case.
Exactly. And he literally said, hey, can you send them this information that we are following these COVID policies, but actually enact a different plan in our district so that we can get the money, but not actually fulfill the requirements of the thing. Greg's mentioning that her Facebook page does say she's retired, and I believe she's going to be I think that's what her plan is. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
$250,000. Go
retire.
And she can't work until 2024. So she's retired.
Yeah, and the thing, it's
go become a day trader.
Yes, and actually, I just pointed out one board member wanted her to do something illegally. That's what he literally was asking about in that moment. So that tells me there's a lot of, and I just kept seeing weird little glimpses over the past 6 months.
What we do know about Glenda, and she's been in the district for 40 years, so there's a lot to know about Glenda.
Yeah.
And even less about the board. I'm sorry.
Right.
It's the truth. Glenda does things by the book.
Yes.
She's not going to cut corners. She's not going to make things easy. She's going to do the things the way they're supposed to be done.
She
And that was a major point of
Mhm.
contention between her and this
the
board.
board every time. Yeah.
Yeah. And it
And-
seems like, if you disagree, yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry, this took
That's
me
just
back
funny.
for a second and kind of took my attention away.
Perfect. It did.
Yeah,
But
thank you.
the beard growth among us. So it's like, let's see, there to
Let's
there
wind
to
down.
there.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. We just need
Anyway.
to get a baby face on the show, and
Yeah.
we'll have,
They were
it
good.
full circle.
Well, with Caitlin's here.
But yeah.
then- I mean, no.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, but back to it.
Yeah.
Like, I met Glenda back when I was working with the
Mm-hmm.
zoo doing the education programs because she was the principal of Kenneth Henderson. And the thing is, I know so
morning.
many people that considered her a mentor. Like, they considered her to be one of the best bosses they had. I'm sure there's people out there that did not enjoy an experience with her as management, because there's always, but I never heard any of those. All the stories I ever heard were like just so much joy and happiness, and they felt like she was a positive leader in their life that guided their careers. So it's so weird that her career with, what is it, 30, 40 years with the district? I can't even
40.
40 full 40
decades.
years,
Mhm.
and her
Close to.
career ends on this such a negative note
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
she's devoted so much of her life to the community, and that is
Yeah.
very problematic
Yeah.
to me. Well,
A lot
so
of
this
us.
is an opinion from Greg, but some of the board members are only there to support or protect their own kids. Okay, that's I mean, I don't know the truth behind that or not, but
Yeah.
now,
and
go ahead.
and there's lots of different things, that this board has done to test, trust
Yes.
between themselves and their, I want to say employees, but they're really employers. I don't know.
Yeah.
The teacher staff, the district, to test that trust. And
Big time.
there is a display policy that
Yes.
the Kansas Association School Board, the big board, has recommended, and several school boards are considering, including our own. It's around a display policy. This display policy basically, if one person is offended by something and a parent calls to complain, it can get
Yep.
a teacher in trouble and an item removed. So basically, you can't have anything up in your classroom, and it's really targeted more towards the LGBTQ plus
Yes.
movement and what's gone on there. Parents don't want their children to see that,
Right.
so it's really becoming a blanket
Because
coverage
and
type thing.
and they've been doing this. The board's been doing this over and over. I've been following since the summer when they've been enacting these weird policies. Actually, here's a comment from John when they were going over the controversial subjects policy. And
Glenda, can you hear me?
I can.
Glenda, this is John. I had emailed Dr. Dominguez about this. Just the new policy, to me, seemed pretty broad. And I was thinking through that a little bit, and that's why I wanted to talk about it just a little bit, about possibly bringing back some of the stuff in our old policy where we specifically laid out certain things that, like teaching unbiased and stuff like that. And then also some of the new things that are popping up in schools that can be a distraction from school, like gender identity and stuff like that. We put some language in there that we don't need to talk about that. We're in the business of teaching. We don't need to touch on any of those social issues. It's kind of what I'd talked to Dr. Dominguez about a little bit.
so in the context there, the reason I want to play that clip when I was going through looking for different clips over and over again, literally the only time that they were talking about controversial subjects or even these display policies, the only thing that they could actually name that was controversial, other than just vague things that people might not like, was always gender identity. I lost count. There was probably 20, 30 times across, and that's the only thing that they would mention is gender identities, which to me says that's more of a targeted thing. If that's the only one, like
2 people in Kansas. 2
for the
people in Kansas.
for the trans sports issue, yeah. But the thing is, this
3.
affects a lot more
I'm sorry.
students. Sorry, 3. Yeah, 3 in Kansas.
it's
But
3.
the thing is, this is the entire LGBTQIA community. And actually, when they were doing the controversial subjects matter, it was the example they gave involved a student in the LGBTQIA and how a teacher should handle that. And basically, the board, in my opinion, just shows a lack of respect
They're
and
inept.
understanding. I mean, right here, Stanley, in this clip, she's talking about how she doesn't think or know if teachers are trained for age appropriateness. With
Maybe our teachers are trained in that kind of information. I don't know, but that's really not subject matter that we have in current curriculum, that they're educated and teaching on those specific subjects.
I will point out the next few moments after that, Naninga brings it in and is like,
Naniga.
no, or Naniga. Sorry, I always want to say Naninga. Naniga, yes, brings it in, and she really wraps it up and kind of condemns that look, because these teachers are highly educated. They have bachelors, most of them, a lot of them have masters, because they have continuing education. They literally have to get college credit hours every year, so they might as well get a master's because they've done enough hours after a while. And then maybe and doctorates and beyond, because every year they have to keep continuing those education. And to say that they don't know how to do things in an age appropriate manner, there is age appropriate ways of doing things, and they do know what they're doing. The thing is, they want to take these policy. Luckily, it did not pass for the controversial subjects, but they were really pushing this idea to take the right of the teacher away, which leads into this display policy, which really. Should we just let Russ talk about this one?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Hanging in my classroom, I have pictures that, you know.
It didn't start from the beginning. Let's start from the beginning.
I promise you, it is not my goal to talk at every meeting. Starting to feel like it. I want to just sort of take an opportunity before you vote on this display policy to say, as a teacher, that I really hope you vote no. And I was looking around my classroom today, and I have various Star Wars things hanging in my classroom. I have pictures that, you know, kids have given me. I have, probably some of you would find this offensive, on face, I have OSU posters in my room. I just have collected a lot of things over the years, including a quote that hangs over my door from John Mellencamp. It's sort of a motivational book. And I just hope that you'll take some time to think about whether this is really a good idea. I noticed that you have removed the 2 church pieces from the agenda to talk about and vote to make go away. I think there's some real philosophical questions about whether the new display policy and that policy may create some philosophical contradictions. Additionally, I just feel like this is a solution in search of a problem in a pretty big way. I'd ask you to consider how many times in the last year you've been confronted with a teacher who had something in their room that was truly, really offensive. I think it's bad for kids. I think that kids come into our rooms and they find some connection or some comfort in seeing that teachers are human in some way. I think it makes it more difficult for us to connect with them in some ways when they come into a very boring, bland, empty educational space. I think it's bad for teachers. I think it limits our creativity and it takes away some of our freedom of expression. And I don't think that's good. Additionally, you already have the power as a board. Administration already has the power to come talk to me about things they're concerned about. It makes me feel, and I speak for me as me, it makes me feel untrusted by my board as a profession, that it's even being discussed. It makes me feel treated like you don't trust me as a profession. I'm sorry, but I feel pretty passionately about that. Freedom of expression, as you might imagine, is pretty important to me. I think it makes it harder for us to connect with kids. The number of conversations I've had about the stupid little Uncle Si talking doll that some kid gave me in my room are pretty large. I think it's bad for administrators in a big way. I think that the policy as it's written makes building administrators be in a position where they have to be arbiters of what's moral, what's okay. And I think it creates a situation where they will have to say people can have everything or they can have nothing. I think it puts them between parents and teachers in another way. They're already between parents and teachers a lot of the time in ways. I think it could create a situation where it could put a principal between a board member and a teacher in an uncomfortable way. I just feel like it is very much a solution in search of a problem. And I hope you'll give some real thought to that. And I think I've thought all day about whether I wanted to say these last two things, but I'm going to. If you work in a workplace that has ever received any government dollars, I would ask you to consider whether you're willing to have this same policy apply to your workplace. Maybe it already does. I don't even know. I've been in education my whole life. Second thing I would say to you is that it hasn't been a week since we all at the high school had to be in a situation where you had to trust us for a few minutes anyway with kids' lives. To tell us that you trust us with their lives, but you don't trust us with what's in our room. That's hard for me. Thank you for your time.
He just, I mean,
That's
did
so
what a
brave
teacher
of him.
should do. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, he sounded eloquent. I mean, he's a teacher, and we're so lucky to have so many Russ Tidwells at Garden City, and I'm so glad that he decided to speak up at that, because that's a big thing right now. You know, retaliation is a real thing.
I'm
at
sure
USD
if
Field
LaBarbara
07.
could tell a tale, she would very much tell one.
Yeah.
233,000 reasons, I'm sure,
Yeah.
exist there.
I'm sure
You
she
know, so
still
it's
would
just been,
rather have her job and still
Yeah.
doing what she loved. But
yeah. And so there's a little bit of what's been going on. We don't
Yeah.
want to keep you guys forever. It's been a great night. We've got more
Yep.
to talk about, and we will talk about more next
Yeah.
Wednesday at probably 8:30. I think Caitlin's going to be back next week,
Pushing
so we're going to
8:30
push it
next
back
time.
a little bit. It'd be 8:30, 9 o'clock.
But
We'll let you know. Let us know what you think of Sunflower's State of Mind, the new name. We're so excited for you to join us. Again, we'll see you next week. You guys got a final thought before we go?
other than I didn't get to it, but there was some impassioned from a couple of the board members, but they pushed this vote, so keep an eye out for the display vote, because it's actually, they did not vote on it this last session because of an impassioned speech and request from Nanaga, which apparently I was also been pronouncing Weesey is his name. Is that I've been
Weesey,
pronouncing?
John
Yeah.
Weesey. Mhm.
But Nanaga, she put in another. She had an impassioned speech where she is getting upset, and honestly, she's had like 3 or 4 of these, and I'm like, I know you're friends with these people, but she keeps having to do these defenses for the rights of the teachers and the respect, actually, just the respect of the teachers. So, but we'll keep an eye on it.
Absolutely.
We didn't get time to talk about it, but I did want to mention that on a federal level, we learned through the Silicon Bank that there will always, always, always be socialism for the very, very rich and rugged individualism. for
Well,
the
don't
very,
forget
very
the other
poor.
bank. I forget the other bank's name, but
Signature Bank.
Signature Bank.
Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
I'm like,
Mhm.
two of them went down with plenty of golden parachutes.
We've
I'm sure.
always got plenty of money for the rich, and just we want to educate our kids, but there's just not enough money.
I need to find a bank that'll take out, a 10 million loan on me.
Right?
No reason.
Right.
Just give me the money. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This is Sunflower State of Mind. We'll see you next week. Bye.